My life is crumbling.
Things are not perfect.
You just have to go really hard.
That's a Foxhole moment, I guess.
So we want to dive deep into the trenches.
I don't want to be normal. I don't want to be like this.
Everything's sacrificed when you're trying to build a business.
Yeah, I want that.
We'll see how deep in the foxhole we get.
Welcome back to another episode of In the Foxhole. I'm your host, JC Chanowsky.
And I'm Angela Schroeder.
Angela, we have something fun that we would want to do for a while. We've talked about doing this, and it hasn't panned out until today. So we're so happy to have Brant and Autumn with us. Welcome, folks.
Hi, guys. It's good to be
How
here.
are you doing?
Super excited to be here. This is super fun.
Yeah.
Yes, the dynamic is going to be really engaging, and we would like to take a tally of who talks over who when we're doing the show. So we'll have somebody to compete against this time.
Like JC said, we have just wanted, we thought, it would be fun to have another couple doing business together on here. And so when I asked you guys and it worked, like I could not wait. I was telling him, I'm like, I'm giddy excited.
Yeah. Well, we're excited to be here, like Autumn said, and couple dynamics are definitely fun to talk about when it comes to business.
Yes. And you guys seem to do it so well. So we're excited to learn more about you. Just got to hang out with you all in Cancun a couple months ago.
Yeah.
One of you is really good at musical chairs. The other one, not so much.
I suck. I know.
I forgot.
I was too competitive.
I forgot I was the winner, so I was more competitive.
That's true. I guess you did.
I think I was out after the fourth round, so I really can't say anything, but it was still fun to watch Autumn just take the champ and like own that stage. So
It was fun.
well, awesome. So we got to hang out with you, know a little bit about you. Our guests and viewers do not. So why don't you take a minute and tell everybody a little about yourselves?
Absolutely. Okay, so I'm Autumn. Brant and I got married in 2011. So what is that? 12 years?
11
years. 12 years this year. We have two boys, Jackson and Liam, and they run our lives. They're little mini versions of Brant, and I kind of get annoyed because everyone says they look like Brant, but I'm like, I did all the work, like little redheaded kids running around. So, but I think part of like business and family and relationships is like family is a huge part of our lives too with our business. And so I think that's why we, talk about our boys, but we've been with Jill's office since, 10 years.
We started Jill's office in 2014.
Yeah. So almost 10 years ago when Brant had the idea for it. And, but anyway, so that's just a little bit about high level perspective of us, but
yeah. And then, I'm Brant. So obviously, so Autumn started also another business recently, a creamery, 8 months ago. Well, she started 8 months ago with the vision, and we opened up a month and a half ago. So that's kind of been encompassing a lot of our lives as well. So
and like years ago, so I've been with Jill's office, straight from the beginning, helping Brant between like having kids and growing everything. And but then Brant's been super supportive of me and my dream. So if you go back to like your childhood memory and you think of like, okay, what was that childhood dream that like you wanted to be or that thing you wanted to do? And like growing up, I was like, oh, it's not realistic. It doesn't I didn't think it would work out. But I've always wanted to start an ice cream shop, like super passionate. I love ice cream. Anytime we go to conferences with like Jill's office, we'd always go to all the ice cream shops in like different cities and just to try things out like all over the country. And I would just take notes on it for years. And one thing that's really cool about being here in the business world with entrepreneurs and like people like you guys, like you understand kind of those big crazy ideas and like you guys get it and like people in our world get it. And so it's fun to have this like support system of like, yeah, if you want to do something big and crazy, like do it. And I'm definitely more the conservative like planner. So like it took me like 10 years to build like a business plan. And then like I took it really seriously last year. And Brant was just like right behind me the whole time, like helping me, guiding me. And I just ran with it and it's going so good. We opened last month. And it's like having a new baby. It's really fun and stressful. But now we're over the hard part and it's like just figuring things out. So I'm loving making ice cream. And that's what I've been doing the last like couple months. So
yep.
It's been so fun to watch her passion. I mean, we met you getting to be a part of the collective together. So with Jill's office, and kind of got to know you guys in that capacity, and love that. And then when you were talking about your idea and you're going to open an ice cream shop, and I love how you described it, because if it would have been like Brant's passion, probably as the visionary to like, I'm going to get an ice cream shop. This would be Brant, JC, and I. We would not have taken 10 years or any research. We'd have like, ice cream shop, here we go. Guess what? We're opening an ice cream shop. Okay. But I love how calculated you were, researching it, knowing it, and then, wow, to get to live out your childhood dream.
Yeah.
But yet have all of this, not only encouragement and inspiration of having business owners around you, but the knowledge of what building a successful business looks like. I mean, Jill's office and the ice cream shop are a lot different, but the wisdom you gain in growing a business, you guys have.
Oh yeah.
Well, and to throw a little win out there, like, because you took the time, like for us visionaries, we didn't take the time, and we were just throwing everything together with duct tape and prayed it would work. And then Autumn took the time and did it, and her first month, her first month was a 6-figure month. As an ice cream shop.
Oh,
Like so crazy. And I think too, like Jill's office, like we like the school of hard knocks, right? Like in our 20s, like we're 34. So we spent all of our 20s figuring life lessons out the hard way in business. And I guess we're still figuring it out. But a lot of the things that I learned from other people and like things that we did wrong, I knew how to quickly make it right from the beginning. So I didn't have to suffer as much as we did in the past. But so June was a good month.
That is and I cannot wait to come taste the ice cream. Brant keeps telling us how your dairy-free ice cream tastes so good, and
it's pretty good
ice cream. So when I just arrive, sometimes it's a surprise in a plane.
So I'm commandeering this channel about ice cream, but our dairy free is amazing. And we also have like gluten-free options, which helps a lot of the people. Like when you go with your family to an ice cream shop, it's really hard when like 1 or 2 people can't eat at the family. So like everyone else is enjoying their time. And then the one person's like sitting there like, man, I wish I could have fun like everyone else is. And so I wanted to create an environment that the whole family could come and enjoy a treat together.
So what's the most popular ice cream so far?
Okay, so it's actually our house favorite. And it's my own personal recipe. It's called honeycomb. And it's not like super popular, but we take I make a candy from scratch in house. It's like a sponge candy, like an old fashioned honeycomb candy. And then I crush up and break it into pieces, and I put it in with like a vanilla base with like honey swirls and graham crackers. And it's so good. It's my #1 seller. And then #2 is cookie dough. And we take like actual chocolate chip cookies and like immerse it into the base of the cream. And then I get these really amazing cookie dough bites. Like I don't like the cheap stuff. Like it can't taste chalky. It can't taste gross. Like it's so good. And then raspberry cheesecake is #3. And we make this like raspberry sauce from scratch and like boil it down so you get that real like raspberry taste in your cheesecake.
Yep.
That's incredible. So you're real authentic. Like
It's been so fun to have this front row behind the scenes seat in your anticipation up to it, and then the celebrations of it.
Thanks. Yeah, it's been fun.
What a great first month. Congratulations.
Yeah, that's probably a big win for me for sure, is that first month. But
how about you, Brant? We usually talk about wins, and it sounds like Autumn, that was a huge win for both of you. But Brant, do you have another one you want to talk about, personal or professional?
Yeah, I mean, I'll just kind of go. I'll call it a personal professional win. As you know, when it came to the time for Autumn to open up Jill's Thurgood Creamery, like I wanted to make sure that I gave enough attention to Autumn and the creamery to help them get going. And so I did put a lot of, trust and really just full faith in my department heads, to my leadership team at Jill's office. And I pretty much stepped away for a month to help the creamery get going. And, they they stepped up and
They ran the show.
they ran the show, and
They're amazing.
yeah, I mean, so
They're
it was
better than
cool.
us.
Yeah, they are. So it was cool to step away for a whole month from your business, and like it grew, and there's nothing
crazy
too crazy,
fires.
and
Everyone handled their stuff.
yeah.
And we just let them flourish and run their show. Like, and that's how it should be.
So
Yes.
that was a huge win for me personally, and you could say professionally as well. So
Yeah, absolutely. Congrats. I love the Jill team. I've been using Jill's office for years now. And your team is just incredible. The customer service, the support, phenomenal. So I can just picture them, you leaving, probably having a mini party, but saying, hey, we got this. Let's do this.
they probably had a lot of parties, but ice cream too. So it was probably okay. It was worth it. So
you do have a great team.
We're going to try and stay on track a little bit, and we're going to start talking about those like Foxhole moments. I mean, you guys working together probably have something that you can share about together. When business was tough, maybe Jill didn't go so good. Maybe the start of the Creamy was just like, this is awful. Or you can go back further than that. So why don't you guys discuss one, you can bring it up and talk about together or share different ones about when just business was hard. Like when you're just ready to give up, quit, get out, who was there for you? What did you learn from it? And how are you able to apply to avoid that happening today?
Oh yeah. Oh, where do we begin? There's so many.
Let's actually start right now. Right. So with starting a new business, like, even though we have had a lot of success and everything, like there's been a lot of trials.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's like 14, 15, 18-hour days, 2 a.m. ice cream making, when you're like, what the are we doing?
Yeah. Or like the drain is like flowing out. I'm like, why is this clogged? I've never cleaned a drain before.
Yeah.
Or like, I don't know. Those are like easy little hard things though that you can get through. But I think some things like even just getting the location, like the number one thing for like ice cream shops is location and then your social media. And like we had to compete against 5 other business owners for the same spot. And they all were actually opening ice cream shops as well. So there's 6 of us and all like trying to compete to get, we all put letters of intents on this like one spot. And but I probably because of my like crazy like owlness skills that I have, but I had this massive like business plan. So I submitted it and they liked it. But I mean, even just that was stressful because that was really where the dream came to life. And like just setting yourself up for success is so important to do those like foundational pieces, right? And like we didn't even have everything figured out. Like we signed the lease to the space before like we had anything else figured out. We're just like, let's just do it and go for it. And like we'll figure it out as we go, which is kind of crazy, but
for you.
Yeah. Then we figure it out.
Yeah. But I mean, there was, I think along the lines with there, like, when running two different businesses at the same time, even like, it's just, we're trying to also run a family and all this, and you're trying to run a relationship as well. A lot comes into it. And I think that's kind of where, where trust comes into play, and faith, with each other comes into play, that they know what they're doing. Cause I mean, there was times where we wouldn't see our kids for like 2 days until we tuck them in at night, wake them up, send them to grandma's.
Or like just with Jill's office or shows. And sometimes that's hard.
Yeah.
Like not being able to see your kids because you're trying to like, there's like things that you have to do, these glass balls that if you don't take care of, like they shatter kind of thing. So I think part of like that for sure is like kids and like wanting to grow our family. And like in the middle of Jill's office, like we had a lot of like children hardships. We had a couple of miscarriages like between our kids that were like really hard. And so just trying to figure out how to like run business and your own passions and like taking care of yourself and your family and your health. It was a really hard balance for sure.
So it's been good. It's been, it's just really learning on each other, learning on the trusting the process, trusting each other.
What would you say was your hardest Jill's office trial challenge?
When Jill's office, the great thing about Jill's office is, it's definitely the school of hard knocks. Starting a call center, I always tell someone who's like, I'm going to start a call center to compete against you. I'm like, do it, please. By all means, like, just run with it. Like, You know, I thought I worked in a call center before I started Jill's office. I knew everything. Well, I'm still learning to this day, but, you know, as I think back to one of the most interesting times at Jill's office is, you know, we program our own stuff, we do all this, but we lost our funding pretty much overnight because our investor was actually his investment was all a Ponzi scheme that he didn't know about, obviously. So he lost all of his money overnight. So I lost all my investment overnight.
Yeah.
And it was just like, there was touch and go moments there where it's just like one time we had to write payroll and I'm like, we're not going to get money for another day. And I'm like, all right. So I just wrote hot checks for whole payroll. I'm like, I pray they don't go cash this. And, you know, I had enough to pay like a quarter of it, you know, and
until like the next funds come in or.
Yeah. Cause it was coming in the day after. And I'm just like praying, like, you know, just please deposit, you know. So
that was years ago. We're in a much
I know.
I know.
That, and well, it is the worst. I mean, I have been there too. And I feel like if you've been an entrepreneur for long enough, maybe you have one of those payroll. I don't know why. That is the most gut-wrenching thing.
Yeah.
When, I mean, it's just, I'm like, have tears thinking of it because the times you're like, I don't know if payroll is going to go through.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, I accidentally hit the mail a check once, so you'll get it next week. Sorry.
Yeah.
Wait for the weekend.
Yeah. You know, so I just, you know, and it was kind of funny. Like, last night we were eating Chinese food and I opened a fortune cookie and I know
it's so random.
I know it's random, but it says failure is the greatest success. That was my fortune cookie last night. And I've been thinking about that. And I'm like, you know, true. Failure leads to the greatest success. The harder you're down, the harder you're going to fight to go up. And, you know, I'm grateful as a business owner to be brought down every so often. Because it really, like, coming up out of those holes, you know, you could say is probably one of the greatest things that you can being a business owner is. And I mean, that's why we have to take the risk to do it.
Yeah.
And, you know, those who can do it, like, you know, it calluses you and it makes you stronger. And I would never want to actually take away that experience that I had, even though it was
so hard and it sucked. And there was other sucky moments, but it's funny because that we're talking about this. So I literally, when I was on Facebook like yesterday and I found this quote I just want to share with you guys that goes along with this. And it said, you cannot wish for both a strong character and an easy life. The price of each other is the other. And I love that. Like, if you really want that strong character and you really want those things in life, like, it's not going to be easy. But it makes you have a better life for it. So
it does. And those, you know, the failure is the success is if you don't have those lessons, like that really hard moment of payroll and how you overcame it, never get, like you said, those calluses, the resilience, the wisdom to take your business to the next level. So as much as we hate the periods that we go through and you reach a level of success and you think you've made it in your business, right? You're like, we are good, man. I hit this mark. It's so awesome. And then to go to the next level or pivot and do something else, and you go through another purgatory that is like, this is the worst hell. Like, how did I get here again? And
like, what did I do?
Yes, what did I do? Why do I deserve this?
What did I do?
How did I get here? You feel like this failure again, but we're given those moments, kind of maybe to your quote, Autumn, like if we don't go through them, if we don't have them again, there's some lesson that we may have gotten too comfortable. We may have, you know, there's some lesson that we needed to learn to take us to the next level of where we're supposed to be.
Yep. And I don't like learning lessons twice. So when I learn a lesson once, I cherish that lesson.
Yep.
Maybe that's an integrator quality too. I think sometimes as a visionary, I have to learn it more than once.
I think for me, like the integrator score, I think I was like a 94 on the integrator.
I
But you're high visionary too. Like his integrator was like 50 something,
Yeah,
but his vision, you were like probably 90.
I was
90, 88 or something.
90.
I can tell. I mean, yeah. JCI and Brant are just like these visionary people that together we're just like, yes, we don't need that parachute. And,
Huh.
and we need people like Autumn in our life to say hello.
I will say though, when I came to Autumn about Jill's office, I said, Autumn, I want to start this company. And I said,
I'm sorry, I was so mean.
I was like, hey, this is what it's going to do. And she's like, that's stupid.
I was like people don't answer their own phone calls. Like,
She's like,
I don't get it.
stupidest business ever. What? Don't start that. Like,
But he had to convince like the biggest critic, like, even though I loved him, I'm not just going to go along with it because he's my spouse. Like, I want to support him, but I'm like, let's hear the plan. And I was like, okay.
I pitched you
started
the
buying
plan.
into
The
it.
idea is the plan.
Yeah. And
Did
he
you
was like,
pull out a napkin and like, here, just wrote it down for you?
like,
This is
hey, you know,
plan.
that worked for J.K. Rowling. She wrote Harry Potter on napkins.
Yeah. it sounds good.
I'm laughing because this is like our reality. Like that is the good. I mean, Brant, yeah, we're like the idea. That's the plan.
That's the
And
plan.
so that's we have the different scenario. Like, yeah, perfect. Go do that without a plan. Yeah.
I really think the reason why Jill's office is successful is because even when I'm sitting in department head meetings and I'm like, okay, guys, we're going to change the world and this is what we're going to do. And all the girls in there say, that's stupid.
Nuh-uh.
Still to this day, y'all say that.
No, they don't. We're a good mix of like integrators and
Okay, no, they say
visionaries.
that's a good idea, but what if we change it like this,
Yeah.
this, and this?
And then we
That's
make it
completely
better
different
as a
idea.
team, not
So,
like we don't shoot each other down. We
it's
build
okay.
it, we
I
make it
started the
better.
vision. I accept that.
So, where did Jill's come from?
So like the name Jill's.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean,
It's fascinating.
it's super fascinating. So when we were coming up with Jill's office, like the concept, you know, my dad was helping us get going, and my brother is a concrete contractor, and when you know we were just kind of talking to him about, hey, Kate, you know,
If you had like an assistant
this,
that you
he's
were gonna
like-
send calls to or messages, like
well, I'll tell him to call. I'll tell him to call Jill. We're like, oh, Jill's office. That's a funny name. We'll write
you
this
just
down.
like made it up in the moment.
And we'll change the name when we get closer because we'll call it Project Jill.
And we never changed
Never
it.
changed
Like it's not the super exciting name, but then one day I was Googling the most commonly named like receptionist name and it was Jill. So I was
Wow.
like, okay,
Which we've never hired a Jill yet. So I think we hired one, but I don't know. Actually, I don't think we have.
I don't know
So
if we ever hired a Jill, but
still working to hire one.
If you're
Jill?
listening, Jill, they're hiring.
The Walking Dead, like we're all vegan, we were all Jill.
Yeah.
It does, not to be stereotypical, but it does sound like the name of someone you'd be calling into. I mean, that's
I know.
like when you're like the Jills, like it does sound like.
You know, it plays off well, and it plays not to have a Jill because then I see people like, hey, I talked to the owner Jill the other day, and it's like,
We're
oh,
like,
you did?
okay. Yeah. Sales people or whatever. I'm like,
Yeah,
yeah, there's no
so-
owner named Jill.
So, you know, being a couple and being married and having multiple businesses now, it's not easy. Like you either have what it takes or you don't. And some people do. And you guys, you know, get to hang out with you, Cancun. You guys have so much energy and so dynamic and talk to me now. You want to talk about some challenges that you have to overcome? I mean, while you're not only living together and working together and there together 24/7, like what are those some obstacles or hurdles that you guys have to overcome together to get through those moments of
I think you have to learn how to give and take. You know, I have my personality as a visionary, I'm going to come up with you about 12,000 ideas and one's going to land. Right. And, you know, and so I understand that as a visionary when I talk to Autumn or, you know, and I know how to better pitch it later as things go on. But, you know, as we're sitting here and we Autumn and I talk, you know, with her personality, knowing her, like, you know, she's more forward facing, like, you know, she doesn't I like to talk about the fluff. I like to fluff it up, make it other. She's like, no, it's this, and this. And she's like, I'm not trying to hurt your feelings, but this is, you know, I'm trying to be real about it, you know? And it's just like, oh no, you're right. So it's like, I have to learn how to give and take.
Like with communication, probably. And
yeah. But like, at the same time, like I have to do the same thing when she, you know, and I just think you have to learn how, you know what, like, you have to just work together,
Mm-hmm.
know how each other
I
works.
think like also years too of like I love like personality tests and assessments and like really like understanding because like Brant's my spouse and my business partner and my best friend. And so like we're together all the time. And some people might think that's weird, but we love it. It works for us. But it takes a lot of years to really like we got married in our younger 20s, but to really understand like what drives that person, what excites that person, and also being passionate like for them, and also realizing that like it's okay that we like totally opposite things, that that's not like a bad thing. Like if he wants to play video games because that relaxes him, like I don't care, like I'm gonna go do my own thing. And we all have like choices, and it doesn't matter like what choice that we make, we all have like our own path. And whether we do that together or separate, like right now it's working great together for our passions and our journey on this life. And so I think like communication's like a really big thing. Not taking things to heart, like letting like the hard stuff just kind of rub off your shoulders because it's never gonna last. When something hard happens, you know, that day in the moment, like entrepreneur, you're like, oh, this is great, like, and then you have this bad day and it kind of just keeps going like this. I like to think like, okay, in 5 years from now, am I really going to be super worried about this thing that happened today? And usually the answer is no. And so a lot of it's mindset shifts as well, like trying to think higher, trying to think deeper, trying to think further out, and realizing like things that matter and like things that don't. And it gets easier as we've gotten older, I feel like.
Yeah. I mean, we know when each other comes home like frazzled or
no, I'm
frustrated
hangry. If I don't have my nap or if I don't have my food
or caffeine.
or my caffeine, I tell people, I'm like, give me those 3 things and I'll be happy and fine. But if I don't, I'm like, don't talk to me.
Yeah.
I need
it's
to
just like,
take care of myself.
Last night I came home and it's just like we were almost like a little short with each other. It's like,
no,
stop,
it's like
we need to eat.
I'm hungry.
I know. And once we ate, it's like,
Yeah,
oh,
we're
okay, well now
fine.
we can have a conversation. Like,
Yeah.
you know, but we understand that about each other.
But I was like,
just
if that's the worst thing is like a food or a meal, I was like, we're going to be okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's hard. I'm in front of ice cream all day. So I'm like trying to not eat it all day. But then if you don't have time to get food, I'm like, I just don't want to be eating all these, like, I need protein. I'm going to make protein ice cream. That's what I'll do next.
Yeah.
There we go.
Nice. It is amazing how many problems can be solved by, I mean, somebody has a quote like that of, you know, eating, sleep.
Yeah. That's honestly my solution to everything. Like, sleep on it, sleep on decisions. Don't worry about it. Sleep on it. Have a good meal. Get a little caffeine. And you'll be okay.
Let the small
Do
stuff.
you feel like you kind of alluded to that, you know, when there's struggles, how you deal with it, when there's a struggle or a bad day in the business of trying not to take it like personally.
Yeah.
And in the relationship and being there for each other. I mean, is that something that evolved or was there separation? I mean, was there ever time that it was hard of like a business struggle and it was hard to work through as a couple?
I think like there's always like struggles, but it was always like we knew we were always in it together.
Yeah.
For sure. Like there's no other option. Like it's either like you survive together or you don't. And
I think one of our biggest philosophies we live by is everything's figure outable.
Yeah.
Right. And so when we get hit with the solution, I think there's a time where we both like each of us have our own like tendencies to kind of like I'll retreat and like I want to think through things. Like I'll go play video games to clear my mind.
And I like to go on walks
and like she
or
goes
like
on walks.
but we both have like the common like or we're very unified with all of our goals and all of our purposes, like the things that we're working on. And so like conflict is never like I believe in this or he believes in that because we're so different. I really recognize like his strengths and I totally trust Brant when he wants to do something or he says something and I'm like, okay, let me help you figure it out. So it's pretty rare though for us to like ever argue or on something or not like agree on a decision. Just because we know like in order to have that success or to like keep things together, like we have to be on the same page. And so sometimes there's sacrifice, like maybe I think I'm right, but I'm like, you know what? I'm okay to sit back and see what happens. And if they're wrong, okay, well, they learned and I find out.
In 6 months, we'll find out.
In 6 months, I'm like, I told you so. That's good enough for me. Just
Yeah.
kidding. Like, fine, you do what you want to do.
That 6-month thing happens quite a bit. I
Actually.
mean, that's okay.
Fine.
So
I'm like, okay, well, you learn your lesson. Come talk to me in 6 months.
I just think a lot of times if you allow pride to get into the middle of your relationship
true.
between like I'm right and you're wrong, like
We don't live like that. You can't.
yeah.
There has to be this form of like humility and unity, because pride can just destroy businesses and marriages and just like
I think once you realize, like I always tell my team, like I'm not the smartest person, nor do I ever want to be the smartest person. Like I want you guys to be smarter than me, you know, or you know, it even comes to Autumn, like hey, I'm just some old dude lives here in Syracuse, like just trying to live my life, like so it's just like when you can live that mindset of just like, hey, we want to work together instead of like I'm always right, it allows things to run a lot smoother, even though sometimes when I get outvoted, like, do you know what, like just how Autumn just said, like
sometimes it's hard, but like if you're also with a team and you pitch 2 different ideas and versions, you're going to come up with the best one together, or 3 or 4 other people are going to be like, you know what, that really is not a good idea right now. And sometimes it sucks. Like you put your time and effort into something and people don't see it or can't believe it. And honestly, it's good. Like if you can't convince a room of people to do that thing that you're passionate or inspired about, then you're not the right person yet for that either. And so, or the timing just isn't right or things like that. And so you have to like have this like business intuition to know where the flow is going and being able to like trust your gut. And the older I get, I'm always like, trust my gut. It leads me in the right direction.
And I think as a couple, because like we literally spend 24 hours together pretty much all the time, and a lot of that could destroy people, like because some people just want to have like their personality, they just need to be alone, they want to have their own space, they want to have their own work, or they want to have this. And I remember one time, before we started Jill's Office, I'm like, oh, I could never work with Autumn, like I like having my own thing. But then we started, I was like, okay, no, this is good, right? And it's just like setting those boundaries, understanding, what you're going to do. But it's just like when you're going to be with someone 100% of the time, like you have to live by that, or it's going to just destroy you, So yeah.
You said that you guys are like aligned on your purpose and mission and vision. And I'm curious if that's something that's just like natural, like it just, you guys are so, innately like unified and believe in the same things that is, or do you guys spend time discussing? Because I truly believe when you're, even as an individual, as a business, if you are solid on your mission and vision and like you really dial those in and believe like that is a narrow focus, that you've spent time on those, that your yeses and nos aren't decisions. Like your nos are automatic because you've decided what your mission and vision is. So there's not really decisions or disagreements because does this align with our vision? We're doing it. If it doesn't, it doesn't, in a business or as a person. But do you feel like you're just naturally have the same purpose, or do you guys spend time deciding as a couple, like dialing in your mission and vision?
I wouldn't necessarily say we sit down like, hey, this is like our mission or vision or whatever, in such like forward terms, but
we go on drives.
Yeah.
And we just talk.
I like to just talk and
that's fun.
See where the inspiration takes us.
Yeah.
And
like literally just go for an hour, like take the kids, throw them in, as long as they're not screaming, throw them an iPad, and then we'll just drive for like an hour and just, I don't know.
And just see where the
pitch things, talk to each other, just stuff like that. But we usually don't do it at home. We don't make it formal. We just, let's go for a drive, let's go look at houses, even though we
have a house.
We have a house. I don't know.
I know we're really simple too in those ways. Like, I don't know, like, cause I love Brant. Like I'm really excited for his dreams and his passions. And so that's part of my life as well. And his with mine. And so it's just knowing, like, for me, it's always working towards that goal until you feel like it's fulfilled its potential or that it's reached its potential. And so when we work towards projects, that's kind of what drives us, is because we're having fun, we're learning, we're being challenged, but it's not completed yet, like in our hearts kind of thing. And so that's why we.
But I think also at the same time, what she said was really interesting, because she said, you're not reaching your potential. And sometimes you got to give that up. Jill's office, she was feeling that she was not reaching her potential. And we were having a lot of these conversations last year. She's like, I'm just not feeling complete yet. Like, I'm not like,
I need like another challenge. I
need
need something big. Like I want to do something crazy. Like I'm not the crazy person.
Yeah. So it's just like,
or
okay,
you're
well,
the
then do
crazy
it.
person.
Like,
Like I want to do
you know?
something just so wild to know, like, can I do it?
Yeah.
And
Because it was, I mean, I started the business, all saw this, you know, people come talk to me, they come talk to her. She's 100% involved, but it's just like, yeah, I mean, she needed her own vision. She needed her own dream.
Yeah.
So it was just like, cool. Like I can let you go out of the company, like not me letting you go, but it's like, let me support you with your dreams. And
yeah,
you know,
and I'm still there. Well, I haven't been the last like 2 months. So sorry, Jills, but
you came to the potluck.
I did. I'm working on systems. I have a few more things to work out this summer.
Yep.
So speaking of systems in the business, 10 years ago, you started Jill's office and visionary, let's just go do it. 10 years forward, you had a plan and a very well thought out plan for the creamery.
Mhm.
Were there any similar challenges you saw with starting both those businesses?
Oh, for sure. I think the one is like where people think they have to work in the business versus on the business. And I think it's important to work in the business so you know what's going on to develop those things. But like as an owner, you have to step back and think like the business, your job is to protect the business and move it forward. So it can last for however long it needs to. And so part of that is like, yeah, I might love making ice cream, but I also hired an ice cream maker because I can't make ice cream full time and manage all the teenagers full time and do all those things and start catering. And so for me, I knew early on, because of Jill's office, like you have to have a leadership team in place of like managers, departments, even though it's like at a smaller scale, knowing how to like look forward that whatever you start, can it scale? So could I have 2 shops? Could I have 10 ice cream shops? So whatever I do now, I always have that in mind. Like, how can I 10x this? Like we did with Jill's office. When we start off with like 10 Jills, certain things are fine, but I'm like, oh, if we have 100 Jills, like we can't do this certain thing or sustain this certain thing. And so part of that is like really having to think forward to making sure that whatever you start and implement, you just set yourself up for a good foundation for your systems.
And I think it's smart that we've spent a lot of time working in the business for the first 2 months, but as we've slowly started taking ourselves out of it, I mean, I've only had to work like 3 times in the creamery for the last couple of weeks and like today you're not going in, you're trusting your people now. But it's just like, that's what makes the business successful. Because if we went into the company, went in and started the business knowing that we want to have that happen where, we're setting up the systems, but we
set up learning that we had to let go from the beginning.
Yeah. And I think a lot of business owners, they start a business to, free up their life and they have to do everything. But it's just like, how can you grow? How can you actually support a family sometimes it happens all the time. People support a family all the time, but it's just like, if you really want to start a business that can scale and grow, you start that with you not being involved. So, and that's kind of where we did that.
Yeah, that perspective that you knew. You're right. A lot of times when you start a business, you're starting off as the worker and you don't even have the vision of how you're going to get yourself out of it. Like whatever business it is, you are in it, you are grinding. And you had the forethought of like not grinding until I can't grind anymore and then solve the problems.
Yeah. Exactly. Like knowing that there is a grind, but like trying to build kind of fill those gaps so that, a new business owner doesn't kill themselves.
Yeah. I think we're not taking as much money out of it right now because we're kind of letting it grow just because we got those people in place to kind of run it, that we don't have to really be there though, but I mean, because we've done this, it's just like, she already sent me a second location she wants to freaking go look at already.
You didn't like it.
I did.
Like, it's okay.
Sorry.
So is the ice cream market a hot market right now? You see you had 5 other businesses trying to get the same spot. Like that sounds like a lot for
location. It was a location.
I think like in our town, like there's no like hard scoop ice cream shop. So we have like a population of like 35,000 people and very like home family community. And we have like Wendy's and like McDonald's, like an iceberg kind of style, but like nothing hard scoops, like made in house, like you have a Cold Stone 20 minutes like in either direction and that's it. And so I think there's just like the opportunity there as well.
If you imagine in other states how many bars are in that location. Imagine in Utah, that's how many either cookies or ice cream shops.
Or soda shops.
We're not big alcohol drinkers here, but man, we put on some sweets. So yeah,
we like our treats here.
yeah. So
Okay, one more area that I want to dive into. I knew this was going to go, episode is going to go so fast, but you talked about the kids in the very beginning and them being a part of, a big part of your life. And that is a unique challenge as well that we've both done. Build business, you're building businesses, and as well as being partners, you're also raising kids, and the balance of how to do that. Because it's completely different than other parenting of people that have jobs and they go to work and then they come home and it's family and kids. And, it's a unique thing for your kids to know that you're running businesses, for you to be present with them. But we know that when you are running businesses, it is your whole life. Like it at least consumes your head, even if you're not going in today. You're still thinking about it. You guys are still talking about it at the dinner table.
yeah.
Because that's what it sounds like it is your life. I think there's some people that try and be like, oh, we turn it off and we don't talk about it from when dinner starts to when dinner ends.
It doesn't work.
Yeah.
That's like
it's stuck in your head then. When people say they do that, I'm like, but if the thought came to me, I'm going to tell you.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, I'm not going to write this down. And I'm like, this is a really good idea. I have to share.
Yeah. So how do you balance that? How do you do it with
For sure. A lot of it's like systems. So okay, first it's like how our kids, how do we make sure our kids are taken care of? So across the street from me, 30 seconds, is a lady who does an in-home daycare, and she's been doing it for 35 years. So it's like a preschool daycare. And so she took Jackson when he was 3, so he's 8, and then now Liam, he's 4. And so that helps us to have that stability there that they can go with their friends, their age, and it's a safe environment. They get to socialize and they're learning. And so we try to plan most of our critical things during school hours, like 9 to 3 window. So all of our meetings, if we go into the office, the most important critical things, our team knows that's the best time to do that. And then once we pick up our kids, it's not that we can't do things at home after that, but then that's when we tag team. I have to go to the creamery, or he can stay home, or sometimes we have to bring the kids with us. And it's hey guys, just play and hang out. You'll be fine. Sometimes grandparents, you have to build your village.
Or you have an amazing executive assistant who is willing to do anything.
Emily, her assistant. Sometimes she has babysit.
I'm getting to work with her a lot more on Reddit. And I'm like, oh, she's a star.
She's outside right now watching our kids.
Yeah.
I didn't know. She was saying when we were on a video call this week, she's like, Brant's right. And I was like, oh, you live close to Brant?
Yeah.
Yeah. She lives 2 houses up from me.
Having an assistant is so helpful. We have somebody that does lavender lush cleaning, comes and cleans her house. There's a lot of meal prep companies here in Utah that we work with. We're so good at DoorDash, by the way. That is our thing. Just kidding.
We get our laundry sent out.
Laundry. We send out our laundry. We have a laundry service. And I just throw away clutter because I don't like it. And hopefully that helps. But all those things affect your life, right? We all have kids. We all have laundry. We all have dishes. All those things have to get taken care of. And so, once you feel those things are taken care of too, it helps free up your bandwidth and your mind to focus on the important things in your business.
Yeah.
You don't realize those small tasks, how much time it takes away from you and how much energy. And Angela was adamant about getting a house manager. And I was like, okay, whatever. And the first time, this is amazing. Should you come more?
Yeah.
I think that's our next.
That's probably our next step.
Step. We've been looking at it for sure, but
it is incredible. And I first did it. I was basically a single mom. I was married, but I didn't have any help. I was running a business, running a dance studio, having little kids. And like you said, everything you do, just having an executive assistant in your business or building a team in your business, anything you have to do in your home takes away from the time that you can be present with your kids and the time that you can run your business. And it's not just the time. For me, it's mostly the headspace. thinking about that there's laundry to do, thinking about that there's dishes to do. And I hate doing dishes and laundry. And so it really came out of necessity, kind of necessity, but I just knew, like, when I talk about unique genius a lot, like, I just knew, like, I can make more money in my business. I can build a better business.
If you can treat your home life to a small point like your business,
But it's true.
whatever you hate doing,
Yes.
whatever you put off, whatever you
always-
procrastinate is what I'm trying to say, is you're not the right who for it. You know,
Yeah.
so
But there's
find the
always
right
somebody who loves doing that though. Like that's one thing I learned. There's people who love everything, and there are people who love all those things. And I think that's great because then you're also paying that person too and helping that person. That's the whole point of running businesses and providing jobs for people.
So, I mean, if you want to, people are like, well, I can't afford that. Well, if as a business owner, what are you going to do to be able to afford it?
Mhm.
Yeah, you can definitely replace it. Like, your time is not like, I love the house manager. I mean, yeah, you just like, I still look at the towels and I'm like, somebody can fold towels to look like that.
So
Everything's ordered. Amazon stuff actually gets returned. Like, all the things that you ordered and like didn't really need and just are now laying there.
Love it. Yeah.
is not the truth. So Amazon picks it up now. That makes it easier.
Oh.
Yes. Oh, that is we're lacking a little
Yeah, we don't have that
on
option
the
yet.
pickup and the DoorDash.
Well, we can do it, but it's like $7 or $8 every time. So we just hand it off.
Oh yeah.
It's free here. So luckily it's like
No, we're still 2 days to get product here. We're not like
we get same day within 3 hours.
And there's almost no door. When I moved here, you guys will laugh. These were the biggest things. When I moved to North Carolina from Omaha, he thought like Nebraska, like corn and cattle, but it was a big city. So yes, we had good Amazon delivery and virtually anything you can possibly imagine on DoorDash. Instant.
Yeah.
No, there's like Wendy's
Taco Bell.
on DoorDash. You guys,
like 2 options. You're like,
it's horrible.
Yeah.
That's why I never used it. So when you said DoorDash, I'm like, yeah, I don't care.
Yeah, we have like every
DoorDash.
like you got Mexican, Chinese, Thai, barbecue, healthy, fast food, like all of it.
Yep.
I'm still having a problem, as you can tell. Well, you guys, it was like I said, I knew time was gonna go so fast. We should do more of these sessions. You guys, your energy together.
Thanks for the first. Yes. So much fun.
It's so much fun. And you can just tell every time that you see you guys, your passion for each other and building a business and helping other people. And so thanks for sharing your story.
And congrats on the creamery.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. And thank you for having us on here. It's been super fun. I've actually never been on a podcast before. This is my first time. So there's a secret, but I love it. And it turned out great. So thanks for having us on.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, that wraps up another episode of In the Foxhole. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share. And stay tuned for another episode next week. Take care.
Awesome. Thank you. Bye.